All right, so the last video in this kind of beginning sequence of videos here before we move into maybe different, little slightly different set of coding here. All right, so what we want to do is we have all this set up. What I want to do is like, you might have times where you don't want your robot to be going quite so fast. That seems like at this point maybe counterintuitive because I want to get there fast, I want to move everywhere as fast as I can. But there's definitely gonna be times where you might want to go a little bit slower in order to kind of get close to maybe a cone or a pole, or like you want to be a little bit more have a little more finesse rather than power. So let me show you how you can do that. Let's see here. I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to have here is I'm going to have a variable called, I'm going to make a variable. It's going to be visible across my entire code. So I'm going to put it up here. For my Java, for my CS1 people, we're going to set the scope on this to be global. It's going to be across the entire class. And I want to set a variable called like, let's call it speed modifier. And to begin with, the speed modifier is going to be 1. Okay. Speed modifier is going to be 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply all of this by, there's a couple different ways we do this. But actually, we're going to need to multiply these all by the speed modifier. Right now, the speed modifier is going to do very little. Oh, I'll pause it for a second. If you think you can do this on your own, just pause the video, try and code it on your own. If you've done CS1, this might not be too bad. Basically, what I want to try and do is have this so I can set like the sensitivity or set the speed based on using a button. Like I might want to be able to press A to kind of change the speed. And I know we can use the joysticks to control the speed, but if you want to get even finer movement, we want to be able to like have the full range of movement here, but only maybe going half speed. So if you know what you're doing, see if you can maybe use like A to have it toggle between speed modifier of 0.5 or speed modifier of 1. Otherwise, I'm going to help you code this out. Let's say, okay, so we have speed modifier in there. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to say if gamepad, so if gamepad A is pressed, here's what I want to do. I want to check to see what is the value of speed modifier. If the value of speed modifier is 1, which like it is currently, then what I want to do is I want to say speed modifier is going to be equal to, we're going to set it equal to 0.5. Again, we need a semicolon to end any of our code. But if the value is 1 to begin with, we should change it to be 0.5. I don't think there's any better way we could do this. And we could say otherwise. So for example, we want to be able to set it from 1 to 0.5 back to 1. We could say otherwise, like if the speed modifier is 0.5, let's set speed modifier back to 1. Okay. So this is going to, again, this is constantly going to be running. We're constantly setting the power to our motors. And we're constantly checking to see if gamepad A is pressed. Whenever it is pressed, one of these two things will happen. All right, let's go into our control. And let's see how this is going to work. Mechanism. We want to go into test demo and start A on this one. We're going to go around. Oh, we're driving pretty fast. Looks pretty good to me. Now if we hit A, our robot should be a little bit slower. Actually, I want to check and see. Maybe I'll put some telemetry up here to make sure that we can see kind of what the values are. Maybe it's a little bit hard to tell on that. So let's go back into here just to double check. Let's add some telemetry data. We'll say telemetry, add data. We're going to say speed modifier, and then we're going to say speed modifier. Okay. We just want to add that data to our screen. So let's put that on here, and let's see if this is working. We could also do, maybe I'll pause it for a second. We can put up all the telemetry data for all of the sticks. But right now the speed modifier is 1. Let's hit A. Speed modifier is 0.5. Yeah, it's definitely slower. I'm more convinced that it's working pretty slowly now. Let's hit stop. What else could we do here? Yeah, I mean, there's definitely different ways you could do this. You could also have, like, I've had students in the past use the down button to, like, incrementally decrease. Like, you use the D-pad, the down button on the D-pad, to go from, like, 1 to 0.9 to 0.8, 0.7. There's a lot of different ways that you could do this for sure. Let's see. Yeah, so I think that's about good. We'll leave it there. Being able to kind of modify your code, modify the speed using your gamepad.